I want to tell you a Hasidic story about the first Rebbe of Chabad. The first Rebbe of Chabad, he was the youngest of all the pupils of the Maggid of Mezrich, but he was the most gifted. Well, he had one of the older of the Hasidim was a Hasid that was called Rabbi Aaron of Karlin, or Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin. So Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin, and he was also a tremendous tzaddik. Now, in those days, it was very dangerous to be a Hasid. There was tremendous opposition. Here we see they put the Rebbe in prison. They wanted to kill him. It was very dangerous. But this Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin, he would go from town to town. I hope that I have the name right, Shlomo of Karlin, because it says there were 60 pupils of the Maggid of Mezrich, but he was one of them. So he would go around secretly to towns, and he would start teaching the ideas of Chassidut, and the young people of the town, they would come and listen to him. And he eventually had a lot of Hasidim. Well, he would go to a town, and they would, for his honor, they would warm up the mikveh for him, these pupils. Now that was forbidden, to warm up the mikveh. The opposers of Hasidut, they were called the Misnagdim, they were very against having warm mikvahs, even for women. And the Hasidim said it was okay, you could make a warm mikveh. It seems like a minor point, but you'll see that it's not. So they used to secretly go into the mikveh, warm up the mikveh before they knew that this Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin was coming. And they would warm up the mikveh in secret. And and then when he came, he would go and immerse himself in the mikveh, which is that what he usually did before he spoke to them. He would speak to them, and then he would leave. Everything had to be in secret. Well, once they heard that he was coming, they secretly snuck into the mikveh, lit a fire there, warmed up the water, and when the water was boiling, they poured the water into the mikveh. But they had to do everything really quiet and in the dark so that nobody would notice them. And they weren't really organized, really one with the other. So one of the boys decided to go into the mikveh to see if there was water there. So because if not, then the hot water would have no effect. They had to fill up with water. They would have to draw cold water. Anyway, he went down, and there was no water there. And the other boys, they didn't know, and they poured this boiling water on top of him. So immediately he went unconscious, and they took him immediately, and they rushed him to the doctor, and the town doctor. Woke up the town doctor in the middle of the night. The town doctor looked at him and he said, "There's no hope. His body is just totally burned." Meanwhile, Rabbi Shlomo of Karlian came, and he saw the confusion, and he asked what happened. Maybe he went to the mikveh, he saw that they were trying to put out the fire or whatever, and they told him the whole thing. He went to the place where this young boy was laying, and he was just like, on his last breaths, just gasping, and he passed his hand over the boy's body, and wherever he passed his hand, the flesh healed. Until finally, after they rolled the boy over to his front, he healed that, until the boy just sat up and asked for a cup of water, drank water. He miraculously saved it. They all saw a revealed miracle. Well, 6 months later, usually Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin, he would come like once every year. Half a year later, it happened to be that the first Rebbe of Chabad came, the Alter Rebbe. He was a young person at the time, but he was tremendous. And he also spoke to the young people, and he conquered them. They all loved what he had to say, and they all became his followers. And that's it. The Alter Rebbe, the Rebbe of Chabad, left. A half a year after the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shlomo Karlin came for his regular trip, regular meeting with the boys, visitation. He came there, and he went to the mikveh. They prepared the mikveh for him, and he started speaking to the boys. They all gathered together in a secret place, but he noticed that the young boys weren't with him. He noticed that they were listening to him, that they were interested, but they weren't really connected to him like before. So he asked them what happened. So they said, the first Rebbe of Chabad was here, the Chabad Rebbe, and he was here, and he just conquered us all. We're all Chassidim of his. So he said, okay, I understand it. The Shner Zalman is really a great person, and you're very justified. But he pointed to the boy that he saved his life, that had been burned. He said, but I saved your life. How could you leave me? You saw the great miracles that I could do. And he said, Rabbi, listen, nothing against you. You showed me what great miracles that God can do for me. You showed me. right? But to show me what I can do for God, that's what the first Rebbe showed me. The Rebbe of Chabad showed me. You showed me what God can do for me. He showed me what I can do for God. And that's really the whole essence of what Chabad Hasidut is, what we can do for Hashem. Like we learned just now, Ayeka, and that is the the goal of Judaism, the joy of Judaism, and Bezrat Hashem will be the success of Judaism to bring Mashiach. And now I'd like to just say Yom Yom, the Yom Yom today of Yud Zayin Kislev. Hasidut Chabad opens the chambers of wisdom and understanding, to know, to recognize the one who is speaking and creating the world, and to understand it intellectually. This, when you do so, this arouses the emotions of the heart to be activated in the same degree that the heart should be from this awareness. In other words, you realize that a diamond is worth $1,000, you get excited. You realize that somebody else comes, a bigger expert, and says, what do you mean $1,000? This diamond is worth $20,000. You get more excited. A bigger expert comes and says, what, this diamond is worth $1 million. Oh, you get more excited. The same thing you think about God. The more you realize how real God is and how precious God is and how God is creating us, so the more you get excited about God. The more you realize, you get even more excited. This more derech asher kol echad, the Hasidut becomes a guide for every single person according to his ability, that he to come close to holiness and to serve God with his brain and with his heart. That's Hasidut Chabad. Have a good day. God willing, at 3:00 we'll meet again and we will learn Chumash and Halacha and Mishnah. Tell your friends, please. We'd like as many people to come as possible. God bless you all. And Lehitrot. Mashiach now.